Hey everyone, and welcome to my show, My So-Called Fabulous. I'm Tiffany Blackman, and welcome. It's so great to talk to you all today. It's crazy out there. Hey, I've told you all before, and you know my bio. I think you're getting used to it. I am a chef, a mom, a wife, and of course, I am a friend. So I am bringing a lot of my friends on here and my colleagues. So I want you I want to welcome to my show today, Paul Rogers. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm in like the wrong side of the room right now.
No joke. Okay. I want to tell you, first of all, this is my third male guest.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And this one will be the most media trained. Let me introduce Paul. So Paul is typically on the other side of the camera and microphone. He is the producer of my show, and he is the owner of Nexum Creative.
Nexum Creative, you got it.
Nothing but podcast.
Nothing but podcast. It's just a derivative of Nexum Creative. It's just a little
level.
Yeah.
Satellite.
Just a level of it.
Okay. All right. So everyone, I want to kind of give you a little background on Paul. So Paul and I have been friends for a few years, and we met through a mutual friend, Sam Watts, which is my trainer, which you will hopefully meet someday. We're going to get him on here.
I'm going to make him.
Right. He has a great story. But I met Paul, like I said, a few years ago, and he and Sam and a few other guys were in a band. That was the factory. What was the name of it?
Exotension.
Exotension.
That's what we were at first.
That's your word.
Horrible name.
I know.
Dad, no one could ever say it right.
Right?
Or spell it.
Exotension.
It was always exostension. And I was like, that's just not it.
And then it went to the...
And then it's 19 machine.
19 machine
That's
now.
what it is
Okay.
at the moment.
Layman
yes.
can get that, right?
Yeah, it's a little easier. I was like, you know what? Let's make this for the people that can't hear or spell.
That's right.
19 machine.
You know what? That's right. All right. So I met Paul, and he came to Austin to our home with Sam and the other guys, but they were actually about to record or checking into recording your first album, right?
Yes, we were going down to meet the producers, going down to talk about our songs, kind of formulate our songs, get a different writer's perspective, and really come together. But before the recording session, and you were gracious enough to let us lay our heads at your humble abode. It was wonderful, and that's when I met you and Greg.
Right.
And ever since then, it's just like, I was like, it's great.
Family. We're family.
Absolutely.
So I brought these boys in my home, and if you know me, I open to my home. I always have a meat and cheese tray for anyone and a glass of wine. And I was so excited because I made a tenderloin for the boys, and there was just two boys staying with us, Sam and Paul. And I made a tenderloin, and I started out, I thought, this is for the whole weekend. It's about a 4 or 5 pound tenderloin, and you all know I love cooking beef. So I made it, and guess what? That didn't last the weekend.
It didn't last the night.
It didn't.
Sam and I got there after, it was about a 4-hour drive. 4.5 hour drive, because I don't know why it took us so long. We stopped a lot.
Yeah. Waco.
I have a tiny bladder.
Okay. So, there's that, and then there's Waco.
There is Waco. But no, it's probably my baby bladder that made me have to stop. I was like, Sam,
what do you mean?
I need to go tinkle. And he'd be like, again?
Right. So you show up, and I have your dinner made. I mean,
it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is the way it should be, and we had that tenderloin, and it was incredible. So incredible that we ate 5 pounds of it.
Oh,
according
to Tiffy.
Yeah, and then also with 2 blocks of cheese,
At least. Yeah, it's a meat and cheese tray for me, and that's really, you boys, that's all you want. You didn't want a bunch of salad, my arugula salad with feta and watermelon. You weren't
good old carnivores.
That's right. So you stayed the weekend, and you traveled down to Austin a couple of times, and then you did a great gift for my friends back 2 Decembers ago. It was 2018, I believe. Had a shower at our home, and you guys gave us a personal concert.
A private concert, a little acoustic concert Sam and I did. It was so much fun.
Great.
So much fun.
What was that song that you sang that I can't even remember? The one
goodness.
that is so popular that everyone it was amazing.
Tennessee Whiskey?
That's it.
It was Tennessee Whiskey.
How does that go?
I knew you were going to do this.
I know, right?
Don't do that to me right
never mind.
now.
I'm not going to do it.
Maybe towards the end.
Towards the end, because
My voice isn't quite warmed up yet.
Well,
me.
well, that I'll start singing here.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
and if you do it, then I'll join in, and we'll have, we should just do a whole podcast where we're just singing hit songs.
How embarrassing. Greg hears that, and he's like, you went there. You actually went there.
Absolutely, we went there.
3 times now.
I think last time was what? I remember, twice. 3 times a lady. That's it.
Okay, there it is.
We did it.
Okay,
I'm down.
check.
Anytime you want to sing, you just point at me behind the glass, and I'll say, let's go.
I love that. So we continued our friendship. And when I started my blog, I started last year. So 2019, I started the blog website. I was trying to do the Instagram thing. And I get a text from you, I believe, right?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a text. I think it was right around your birthday.
Oh, that's
actually.
Right. Yes.
I think it was right around your birthday, or a little bit after your birthday, because I wished you happy birthday, and then I had said that I loved your new website and your blog, and it was doing great, and then I was talking with Sam, your trainer, and I said, have she ever thought about if she's doing the whole influencer thing, which I've got a couple of questions for you. So the tables will turn here in just a second with the whole question asking. But I was like, have she ever thought about a podcast? Because you think about influencers, they need to be heard. That's the influencing part.
Sure.
So I reached out to you and I said, hey, I see what you're doing, but have you ever thought about doing a podcast? Getting your voice heard, not just pictures. And that's what I said. And I said, because it's one thing to have pictures,
right,
but it doesn't quite give a human element.
Right.
It doesn't give your human element. And with the way that you are, your personality, your charisma, the way that people are drawn to you, just by your character and your heart and the way that you are.
Are they really?
They absolutely are. You should know that by now. I said, you need to be able to touch more people at once.
Right.
Meaning that you need to have something where people all over the world could hear you,
right,
if need be, because I believe that that's something that they need to hear.
Right.
And I reached out to you and you said, not really, but
no,
let's figure it out.
What's a podcast, Paul, is what I wanted to know. And you know what? I didn't know, and I'm learning as I go, and 55, learning, and I'm starting to, because, you and my team are teaching me, right? I mean, it's a two-way street, but I mean, you're teaching me as well. So it was learning the whole process. So I'm going to ask you a question.
And then I'm going to ask you some questions.
I bet you are. That's why I'm prolonging this. But it took a long time to get this off the floor and off the ground. And did it drive you crazy?
No, I'm used to that. And it I would rather it take longer to get off the ground than do it the wrong way.
Well, the number of hours this man has sat with me and my team and my daughter to think of names. I mean, first of all, it was how we're going to do it. It was, all of that business and, are you in or you're not in? Are you in? And then I bet we talked about it 6 months, probably. Do you think it was?
I think so.
Is that right?
4 to 6 months? 4 to 6
months. And I'm here to tell you people, I'm assuming it doesn't take that long to start a podcast. But
I've had a couple of different clients that it's taken them 3 or 4 months to get off the ground because, when it's just a casual podcast, people are just kind of doing it for fun.
Right.
That's different. But whenever you're treating it, and I told you this so many times, is that don't worry about how long it's taking, because you're treating it as if it was a business. You don't have a business idea and then open up the next day. Doesn't work. There's no plan of action. There's nothing. So what you did was you had that plan of action, and we had to make sure it was a well-oiled machine, not an old beater that couldn't get down the road.
Right.
So that's where, I commend you for that, because you went through every single step to be able to make it to where it would work.
Right.
And you're reaping the rewards. I mean, you really are. I mean, it's doing, coming from someone who actually knows the analytics, you're doing very, very well. And people are, thank you out there to whoever's listening.
Whoever's listening.
Because, you have made this podcast very, very successful, and it's continuing to go up.
Well, and thank you. That's a whole team. That's not just me, and that's these listeners too and followers. But, when we started, of course, it was the beginning, negotiating what we're going to do. And then the name. I mean, then
That was fun.
that way. I mean, but there's a lot of wine drinking over that. But let me tell you,
Most I've ever drank ever in my life, I believe.
And so coming up with a name, and then we came up with a name, and then we had an attorney slap us on the wrist because we couldn't do that, and we had to trademark. I mean, have you seen all this? I mean, this has been interesting, everyone. It's been fascinating.
It's an interesting process. I mean, a lot of people don't think about it, but what I always tell all of my clients that whenever you have a plan, you have to make sure all of it will work out. You don't have to think about it. I mean, yes, think about it right now. Yeah, but what happens? You have to plan for it. You know,
Right.
I'm a huge planner.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I have to be prepared for all kinds of things. So let's say that this does explode and blow up out of control. You have to be ready for the repercussions of things that maybe you didn't do right at the very beginning.
Right.
And that's what I told you, you know, and I wanted to make sure that with it, you could be, you know, comfortable and not paranoid about anything the entire way through, no matter how big or small it was. So that's, you know, I think you did everything right. And you listened to me, which is cool.
I did listen to him. Sometimes I don't listen to him. But
That's okay.
But the majority of time I do because, you know, it's
I'll just
like
tell you a few more times.
just repeat.
Yeah.
You know, and I say this all the time in the podcast. Greg is a very successful. He sold his company, businessman, and he hired people that are smarter than yourself. You know, we talk about that with hiring an accountant. You know, we hired
Everything.
Laura, and not that you're not smart.
I am not smart in that area. That's
in
not my
accounting.
expertise.
That's not my deal. And so, I mean, I always tell people now, I mean, please stay in your lane. I mean, it'll save you a lot of heartache.
A lot of heartache.
Right?
Now, you ready to answer questions?
Not yet.
Well, here we go.
Here we go. Okay, we're turning the tables.
So whenever I did message you, you know, I hadn't seen you try to be an influencer before, right? So what made you become an influencer? What made you decide that it was time to do it? Because, you know, this isn't a negative thing, but at 55, you know, because I saw that, which I think you're doing amazing. You know that.
Thank you.
But why?
Why? So, you know, my career started out with, I graduated culinary at TCU, culinary school, and I immediately worked for the print publication doing cooking shows and traveling across the United States and branding. Let's say I'm doing a cooking show, cooking beef and a certain spice.
Very good beef.
Right? Yeah, good beef. A spice was on it. Well, we would promote them. I was branding these people. I was helping them create their brand. And I've done hundreds. Worked with those magazines, then went to the beef industry and still work with the beef industry, branding the beef industry. And I always had this little dream of, why can't I do this for myself? So I started there writing cookbooks, and I've written 3 cookbooks, and I thought, okay, that will do it. So what that did for me in my career was get spokesperson positions.
Okay.
Branding other people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So your expertise was branding.
yeah.
Other people.
Other people. Gold Peak Iced Tea, Coca-Cola. I mean, so many different people different wineries. And I'm like, surely I can brand myself. So when Kennedy asked me about social media, I was on Facebook forever. Didn't have time when she was younger. I really wanted to dedicate myself, had a career, but to her as a mom.
Sure.
So when she went to TCU, I'm like, okay, I'll try Instagram, but I'm serious. When I do it, I'm not just posting pictures of this, that, and the other. And people actually started asking me with my books, do you have an Instagram? No. I mean, I just felt like a loser. So I wasn't showcasing my food. All right. So it was all about food and cooking. So then I said, I'm going to do it. And when I did it, we did it last March. We've just hit a year influencing. We have 6,000 followers.
Happy IG birthday.
Yeah, I know. IG birthday. And, I just thought, you know what? I see a few other women my age doing this, and I always say, I'm not finished. I'm not finished doing something. And I want to give this a shot. And when you messaged me, I was like, I don't know how that works.
Well, you know, you say that, and I can see that. And that's one of the main reasons I messaged you, because with my business, I pride myself in picking people. I mean, I actually pick my clients. You know, I don't just talk to everyone.
Sure.
Because if there's not an idea that I could see being successful, why would I put my name behind it?
Right.
Because, I mean, it sets somebody up for failure. You know, and yes, is there a slim chance it could be great? Yes, but I'm going to let you know those odds. And then if you choose to do it afterwards, great.
Right.
But I like the fact that you said you weren't done.
Wasn't
Because,
done.
well, I don't see you as being done. Because whenever I see you, I don't see you as a 55-year-old woman.
Right.
I see you
Thank you.
I see you as a woman full of life, and you're so active.
Right.
You move around so much, not just physically, but you're just around. You have so many ideas. You have so many qualities that you can share. Why be done?
Right.
I see too many people say that I'm done before their time.
Right.
You know, they may just feel like they need to be done, but I love that. And I think a lot of people need to hear that out there and say that, you know, I see a lot of people that are done that aren't ready to be done, but they don't know what to do.
Exactly. And I knew that I was media trained in television, radio. I could, you know, in front of people, and I knew I had that. So the influencing thing, I mean, you just take a picture and you put it on Instagram.
Sure.
But the media, I'll never forget this, guys, if you're listening. We did a test run. Paul, myself, and Hillary, my social media manager, we just said, we're just going to do a test run on this podcast. We're just going to goof around in the booth. Now, mind you, Hillary and Paul hadn't heard me.
I had never heard anything, and that was the biggest slap in the face I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I was like, I told Hillary and I told you right before, I said, okay. We're going to go into this. We're going to take it to, you know, whatever happens, we're going to take it as a grain of salt and say this is just building.
Right.
And I know you had said that you've done this and that and this and that. And I was like, okay, great. That's awesome.
Good for you.
Good for you. Cannot wait to see how bad this is going to be. I mean, honestly, in my mind, I was like, okay. I was like, I even told you before we started, I said, this will be your worst one.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, because it should be because you had never done one before.
Right.
And I'll never forget. I was sitting there with Hillary. My jaw actually still hurts from this because it dropped open so big. You know, I said, right before I hit record, you said, I'm so nervous. I don't know if I can do this. I was like, shut up. You can.
You can do this.
You can do this. You're amazing. Let's go. And I hit record. And then this whole brand new person that I'd never seen just came on this microphone, and I was like,
wait.
I looked at Hillary and I said, what, is she kidding us? I was like, is this a joke? I feel like I'm on Punk'd. Like, what is happening right now? And the entire thing, because we weren't even filming. You were dressed super casual. I think your hair was up. You were just, I think it was right after the gym.
Right.
And we weren't filming. We weren't doing anything. And I was like, well, we have to keep that episode.
Right.
And you were like, what do you mean? I was like, we have to.
I was like,
we have to keep it. It was so perfect. And I was like, my work here is done. I'm out. Thank you.
You know, and I know these guys. I know the two of them were super concerned. I could tell. And I was too, because I've done radio. I've recorded commercials. I've done all that. But it's still, people, my dad even says, what is a podcast? I just have to say it's a radio show. That's the closest thing I can. But it was, I'm sure that was refreshing to you and Hillary.
Yeah. Because I'd already planned out 7 months of training. And I was like, well, I can just clump that up and throw it away.
It was awesome.
I'm kidding.
Awesome.
But no, you did so well. And it was a breath of fresh air to be like, well,
okay.
Well,
let's
roll.
Let's go. So, you know, when we started that and you know, I'm going to call these kids. I mean, the kids, it's Paul and Hillary. They're a little younger than I am, but I think about this and what I have learned from them, and I'm hoping I can teach you two as well. But what I'm learning from you guys is be positive, and you show me they're learning that I need numbers and I need
reinforcement.
Yes, a lot of reinforcement, because I've sat on the podcast however many weeks ago, whatever. I am so insecure in not who I am, not my talent, but being out there.
Who wants to hear you?
Exactly.
That's the question you've asked me so many times.
Who in the bleep wants to listen
beep.
to me?
I'll just beep out everything. Who in the beep? Beep, beep, beep. Be like an Eminem song on the radio, right? Just no point, just a whole bunch of beeps. You're like, I think there were more beeps than there were beats, you know.
You're killing my Botox here, Paul. You make me laugh so much. Anyway.
Well, it looks good. There's no lines.
Well, thanks, because, you know, with this corona, it's going to be a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's just.
Have you seen the thing? Sorry. Have you seen the thing where it showed the whole family of Kardashians after quarantine? They all look like they're 90
Yes,
because
I
the
saw that.
Botox is all gone.
It's all gone. The
I thought it
filler's
was
down.
everything's down. I thought it was so funny. Sorry.
That'll be me.
I just thought that was great.
Well, I was saying, gosh, my hair is going to be down to my rear end, and then gray is going to be peeking out. Oh gosh, it's going to be a rough
Well,
time.
if it wasn't for this podcast today, I would still have an unshaven beard. But
That's right.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to just grow it out. Why not? Right? Come out there looking like Castaway. I think that'd be kind of fun. Be like, how was your quarantine? Oh, it's a heck of a ride.
Here it is. Yeah, everybody, how you doing with all that? Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of this quarantine.
Yes.
How are you faring? What are you doing all day?
Well, you know what? You and I have been working.
Yes.
I mean, we have not stopped working. I think I've seen you every day for...
You have. You've seen me every day for the past almost week.
Yeah. And we're assuming we're going to have to take a different direction here in a minute. So we're working on plan 8.5.
That's right. We are preparing for the worst in all of this because we never know what's going to happen.
Never know.
So we are preparing for that. We are making that vow to not break the consistency of this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's just, not only for us, but for you guys. That's listening. Every week we make sure that we're consistent and we want to keep that.
And before we go into the quarantine thing,
yes,
you had told me, you said, it's like you want this every week at the same time. And we come to you on Tuesdays.
Absolutely. Tiffy Tuesdays.
Because why?
Well, when it comes to consistency, you have to think about any kind of content that people consume. Whenever you think of consumable content that's consistent, you think of TV shows. Grey's Anatomy, Walking Dead, any of those things, they all come on to the same time every single week, no matter what.
Right.
There are seasons, but they do come on every single week because let's say Grey's Anatomy comes on once every 3 weeks. Who's going to really keep on the track of watching it?
Right.
You'll have your diehard fans.
Sure.
But every 3 weeks, that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And that goes to any kind of branding. You have to be consistent. If you go from 3 or 4 posts a day on Instagram to 1 every 2 days, you're going to lose people.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So when you think of any kind of marketing or social media pushing or any kind of branding, you have to be consistent.
Absolutely. And it's with Instagram, and I've learned this through Hillary, is we post every day at 2 because that's when the analytics for apparently everyone's watching for Instagram. So that's every single day we post. And sometimes we did a little earlier, it may be Saturday or Sunday, which I don't understand why people on the weekends aren't liking.
Well, now
likes.
all the algorithms are all messed up because everyone's at home at all hours of the night. I'm seeing people post at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m. This whole thing has just taken a turn. So we are all about consistency, and it's every Tuesday. That's when we decided. I think you said either Tuesday or Friday for us, but Friday, no one's looking. It's crazy. Yeah, you have to think about it from a listener standpoint. You have to think about it from an active person standpoint, right? And there are the demographic of people that listen to podcasts and all the stats and all those things. And you have to think about, choosing the day. Why don't we have it towards the beginning of the week so we can set people's weeks up? It's not a Monday where everyone's trying to get into work and
hassle,
rush and really put towards, that weekend break.
Right.
But, have it on that Tuesday, right after the Monday to really kind of set that week up and get going.
You know what I was thinking about? You asked me earlier, why I did what I did. And I want to set a disclaimer here because, and I'm afraid people are going to say, well, you didn't work hard enough. When you can retire, we can retire. And Greg retired, but he's not finished with certain things in his life.
Cool.
But I did work. I was working. People think, well, then you want to retire. I wanted to do something different, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It does. But who, no offense to anybody out there who believes that, but who are they to tell you what you are done and not done to do?
That's true.
True. And that's one of my biggest things. It's like, why should somebody tell me what I'm done doing?
Right.
Maybe I'm done with that.
Right.
But I'm not done with what I want to do with this and that or something different. And if I want to work until I'm 112 years old, doing something I love, I'm going to do it.
That's right. So, okay, you asked me what I'm doing. So, quarantine-wise, we are busier than ever. You and I and Hillary, we are trying to get content out there because you're saying everyone's on the internet, right?
More than ever.
That's what people are doing, yeah? So, I cook a lot. You know, we're trying to get content with cooking.
And I'll be going over soon for food because our rations are going to end soon. And I'm going to need to come over and get some actual.
Well, our refrigerator, I'm like shoving the door and making sure nothing. It is so full, Paul. It is so full. And I mean, I'm just saying because I've just been stockpiling everything. But I cook. I've done a little bit of organizing, but that's not fair to say because we've been working so hard.
Absolutely.
Greg's going berserk.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? He's a fitness guy.
He is, and so am I. We all are.
We all are. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, not to be able to go to an actual gym and lift the weights that I want to lift.
Right.
You know, I will tell you my booty's sore today.
Yeah.
I did some legs yesterday. I did legs yesterday outside. We've in the complex that I'm in. It's 3 flights of stairs. And we live on the first floor, but I just took my weights and I skipped every 2 steps. And I just walked all the way up and down for about 3 hours.
You got the tight tush syndrome today, right? Can't sit down on the toilet.
I cannot. Nope. I've actually just, I don't know if there's a reverse for a laxative, but I took that so I didn't have to sit down on the toilet.
There you go.
Okay, it's a stopper upper.
We got the picture.
You got the point.
Yes.
But so, this is such a weird time. Like you and I were talking, it feels like a movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in a movie.
I feel like we're going, and this is so naive, with the coronavirus right now. I feel like we're going to wake up and
I sure hope
everybody's
so.
going, just kidding.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. No.
That's one of those things that, this is, I believe that looking at the positive in all of this, I will tell you that all of our puppies are loving this.
Yes.
They're like, they're home every day.
All the time.
This is so great.
I didn't even think about that.
So they're like, I don't know what's going on, but my owners are here all day.
Time.
And it's great.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me. We did a blog post today that came out about what I'm doing and what I'm suggesting. So books, we're going to calm down here in a minute but books and I'm cleaning up my computer. You would die. I have about 33,000 emails.
Ooh.
I mean, they're junk.
You're one of the people that has the red number above your emails that says 27,000.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll spend all day unreading those.
But Paul, I start purging them and my computer shuts down. Because there's so many.
It's just so important.
It's so crazy. I know.
So popular.
It's Anthropology and Lululemon and Neiman Marcus and Target, all these ads. And I unsubscribe, and for some reason, I get right back in. So there's that. And but again, Greg is going crazy. He is retired, and he loves being retired. I asked him yesterday, do you wish you were back at work now? Because they're so busy.
I'm sure.
Morning's so crazy busy. He said, no. Not at all. I'm so happy. But he would like to go. He eats out. He loves to eat out lunch and dinner at a white tablecloth, and he can't do that
I remember you
now.
telling me that he was freaking out the other day.
Because
I had the pleasure of having him in the studio the other day, and he was like, I don't know what to do.
No,
I need food. I was like, we haven't started yet. He's like, but I need food. I was like, I had turkey meat here.
Yeah,
turkey meat and cheese if you'd like.
And we'll get some paper and make a white tablecloth for you, Greg. He showed me last night or a couple of nights ago this joke. There's so many. This guy is saying, okay, if you are stuck in a house, blah, 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 would you A, rather be stuck with your wife, your children, your pets, or B? And the guy goes, B.
Well, I saw this.
That's Greg.
That's so funny. And I saw this thing the other day. It says, well, day 5 of quarantine, and my wife and kids are actually kind of cool,
Oh, no. Or, better yet, we're going to keep the jokes coming. Instead of the freshman 15, it's the Corona 50.
Oh,
no. Yeah.
That's actually a fear. I had a nightmare last night about that because when I'm at home, I'm right next to food.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man.
It's there.
And then of course, my mind, I'm a huge justification person. I justify everything because I can. I'm a great manipulator of myself. And I'm like, man, what if the world's going to end? I might as well be fat and happy, right? And then I have to slap myself. I'm like, no, because this isn't the end of the world.
No, it's not the end of the world.
But I have to,
He's justifying.
And then I take a couple of bites of Halo Top and I go sit in a corner. That's what I do.
You good grief. Oh my goodness. So what are you doing?
I mean, I'm trying to work out as much as I can. I've got a lot of work to do, with the podcast, and I've got a lot of my other clients, believe it or not, and, thank goodness for this, I've got several doctor clients that now they're pushing out more content than ever to help people be more informed and to try to get rid of this misinformation and these rumors and all these
paranoia.
And that's the saddest part about this is that all the, buying up of this, buying up of that, it's this irrational paranoia that some of my clients are trying to help subside.
That's so great.
And these are, one's a gastroenterologist and another one owns several facilities, healthcare facilities, and we're doing a lot of things. And I was just listening to the podcast, the Gut Check Project yesterday, who I work with, and they were talking about some of the things that we can do to keep our gut healthy. So I'm helping with my family. And, these are the times that you need to really, kind of on a side note, during this quarantine time, you're going to have these conversations with your family. Mm-hmm. And I had to have one with my son the other day, because preparedness, I believe, is the best way to live life.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not prepared, I'd rather have a ton of stuff and never need it than need a ton of stuff and not have it and not be prepared for that. So I came home the other night whenever they were really talking about locking things down and all this stuff. And I talked to my son, he's 13. And I said, buddy, I need to have an adult conversation with you. And of course, the first thing he says is, am I in trouble? And I'm like, no, silly. Finally, you're not in trouble. Usually, I'm sure I can find something to be upset with you about.
Why? What'd you do?
Right. What do you mean? Are you guilty? What did you do, son? But no, and I excuse me, I sat down with them and I just said, the world is never going to be the same after this. I mean, it won't, you think about 9/11. Mm-hmm. You think about 2008, you think about, when the economy just blew up, you think about these things. And ever since those dates, things have not been the same.
That's true.
At all. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about that. And you have to, don't be ignorant and not share these things with your family. It doesn't matter how old the kid is. They need to understand what's going on because the stressors.
Right.
If mommy and daddy are stressing and you've got your 5 and 6 year old not understanding what's wrong, they're suffering indirectly from that.
Right.
So like I said, I talked to my son and I said, you're 13, buddy. I'm going to need you to step up with me, because if worst comes to worst, which I don't think will happen, but preparedness, I said, we're going to need to be able to protect our home. We're going to need to be able to rise up and be a team. And he said, no, I know. And he's a super smart kid. I mean, you've met him. He's an awesome, I couldn't deny him if I wanted to. Looks just like me.
No.
I can't be like, nah, it's not mine. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
guess what? Yeah, you're wrong. But I had to tell him, I said, this is the time where we have to band together, and I'm not a person for firearms, but I went to purchase one. Right. Just in case. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not so scared of the virus itself. Right. And we've talked about that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it's not serious because it is absolutely serious.
We are not saying that.
Mm-hmm. Not at all, because this is serious. So serious. Mm-hmm. But if we follow the precautions that the government and things are setting in place, or they're at least trying to, then I think we can get past the virus.
Sure.
But it's the people that panic is that I'm worried about.
And the economy.
The economy, because I'll tell you right now that if my family and I are starving, I'm going to go get them food. Right. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, is worst case scenario.
Oh, of course.
It really is. But if I'm not prepared for that, especially whenever this is something crazy going on, whoever thought that we would go through this in our lifetime?
Are you kidding?
Or ever? The last thing like this, what was 1918?
Oh, gosh.
Right. I mean, that was over 100 years ago, and and that was the closest thing to this.
Yes.
So
rations.
Yes. World War II, whenever they were dropping rations off. And gosh. I mean, and I don't think we'll get to that, but preparedness.
Sure.
And so I talked to him and I just said, I went out to get a firearm and I want him to learn how to shoot it because push comes to shove, I want to be able to protect my family.
Sure.
And that's how crazy is this?
I know it.
This is the scariest thing in the world. Just for that.
I know. I'm the one that goes, it's going to be fine. It's all great. It's going to be just great. Greg has your attitude. You know what? We're going to be prepared and ready to go. But I feel so confident that Americans are going to buckle down.
I think so too.
I really do feel like people are actually starting to listen to our local, our state and national government and band together. And look, this wasn't a crazy joke. This is reality. I heard someone say something stupid like that. This is all just a joke. No, it's not funny.
Well, to tell you the truth, and when I was working on that podcast yesterday that I work with my clients, they were saying, we were at the beginning, I thought this was just some media blow up. And honestly, I did too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had heard all this. I was like, oh, come on.
Come on.
The media is trying to get us all scared. And then and what they said is like what turned them to get really serious is one of the doctors I work with. He said, when I started hearing in China that nurses and doctors were dying, he goes, I knew that this was a real thing. Mm-hmm. And we can't. I've got friends that I'm getting mad at right now because they're out doing things. What? And I'm just like
I was like, what are they doing? What could they possibly do? And you're like, going to parties?
Parties, they're throwing big, I'm just like, oh my gosh, come on. Mm-mm. Don't be the reason for this. There's a reason why there's social distancing. Yeah. Now, I will tell you the social isolation is not great.
No.
Because that can be very detrimental to a mind. Uh-huh. But social distancing, FaceTime people, get on the phone with people, do things like that, spend time with your family. Right. You can still go outside, just stay away from people.
Exactly.
That's right.
That distance.
Yeah, keep that distance because if we can delay the spread of this virus, then we will come out on top.
Let's do it. Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
We can do this. And I want to hear what everybody's doing. Yeah. How you're coping. If you'll let us know for sure.
Yeah. Message us on Instagram.
Yes.
Please
Tiffany
do.
C. Blackman, please message
let us know your quarantine stories. Yeah. I think that would be great, and we can talk about them on the air because we'd love to connect. I tell Tiffany this a lot. It's like, let's get these people engaged. Mm-hmm. Don't think that you can't reach out to us. Message and talk about what you're doing on and during this quarantine with your family, with friends, how you're handling social distancing. Right. I think that'd be great to hear stories. Absolutely. I'd love to hear that. So I want to ask you a question. So, I'm very, very impressed with you. Well, thanks. Obviously. And you, my friend, you went to Tech, right? No, I went to West Texas A&M. West Texas A&M. It's a couple hours away from Tech. Okay, gotcha. So you're West. I knew it was out there. It's more cows than people. Okay, there you go. Not my kind of place, but to each his own. You know what? We've talked about that before. We have. So you, as a young man, had a child. I did. And right after college at 22 years old. 22 years old. Okay, so a year older than Kennedy. Oh, my daughter. Oh, my gosh. Ugh. So you have beautiful Brandon, and he is 13 years old. I keep saying 14. I know you're trying to age me. I know. I'm trying to get him up here with me. Come to my side. So tell us your story, because I want moms and dads and single moms and dads to hear this story. Well, Brandon... most incredible gift ever. Aren't children the best gift? It was incredible. I don't believe that it was supposed to. Plan. I wasn't ready. You weren't planned. I was not. Plan for that? I was not prepared for this. But you weren't following your own advice. I know. You learned early. Hey, listen. I can give the most incredible advice, but do I follow it? Never. What's wrong with me? I know, right? Okay. I can lead a whole bunch of people in the right direction, but when it's me, be like, all right, guys, I'll see you at the bottom, because that's where I am. Exactly. But no, I wasn't prepared for it. But my background was... You weren't married? I was not. Okay. I was not married, but my background is my father left my mom when she was 4 months pregnant. And ever since I knew... With you? Yeah. I did not know that. Left when she 4 months pregnant. I didn't meet my dad in person for the first time until I was 16. You're joking. Mm-mm. And I talked to him once when I was 10 on the phone, and then once when I was 12, and then I met him when I was 16. Not in your life then? No. No, okay. Not at all. My stepdad was, until he passed away, but that was the man that raised me. I called him Dad, and he was incredible. His name was Bill. Your mom...
married. Okay, she was pregnant with you.
Yep, was pregnant with me, and then had me, and then
Met Bill.
and then met Bill.
Okay.
Met Bill, and I knew Bill. I met him. I guess I met him when I was about 3 and a half.
Okay.
And then they got married when I was around 4 and a half, 5. And then they got divorced when I was 7.
Okay.
But he decided to stay in my life.
Okay.
From that,
he was your father.
he was my
He
father.
is your father.
Yeah, he is. He was. I mean, it was the most incredible man ever met in my entire life. And, before you did the episode on your mom, you and I had a very, heart-to-heart conversation.
Right. My mom passing, yeah.
Right. And, with my dad passing right around the same time, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But, it's wonderful. But because of that, Brandon was born in a certain time.
Right.
Bill was able to meet him.
Oh, gosh.
Everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
Because Bill passed away whenever he was a year and a half. Okay. And so he was able to spend a year and a half with Brandon. So great. So nothing ever happens. Everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
You may not be ready for it. So anyways, back to the whole question at hand. So Brandon was born, and I ended up getting full custody of him at 6 months. When he was 6 months old. Full custody at 6 months.
22 years old.
Yep, 22 years old. And
full custody, everyone getting that? Mom not involved.
Mom not involved. She just wasn't ready. She was and honestly, I would rather somebody to say they're not ready than hurt the child. You know what I mean? I mean, whether it be physically, emotionally, whatever, I would rather someone say, I'm not ready.
Because you know what, Paul? You and I said before the show started, we were talking about another subject, but you and I said we won't do things half. Bleep.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not a
half-butted.
Yeah, we don't do that, and so that would have not been pleasant.
No, and I made a vow to myself when I found out what my dad did. My biological father. When I made a vow to myself that no matter what happened, it takes two to tango. I mean, it really does. And I would never do what he did.
Right.
Because, I mean, I know what I've gone through in my life and wondering why I'm not good enough and wondering, whenever I was I wouldn't say blaming myself, but feeling lost.
Right.
Because he wasn't around. It's like, why wouldn't he be around? Right. Why was I not good enough to be around? What did I do wrong?
So you had Brandon, he was an infant.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I threw a lot of bottles around.
Right.
There was one time
you weren't breastfeeding.
My lactation dried up because I worked out so much.
That's it.
Had a lot of testosterone and the breastfeeding, and unfortunately.
Man, it's tough.
It is. It was tough. So whenever the breastfeeding stopped from myself,
exactly.
he wasn't getting nourished enough, believe it or not. He wasn't getting the right nutrients. And people frowned upon it. Yeah. So I had to stop. But no, it was rough. Honestly, we went through 3 DVDs of The Waterboy. Yeah. For some reason,
jeez,
my son loved Adam Sandler and wanted to watch The Waterboy. We went through 3 DVDs because we overwatched them. Okay. So, because I worked 2 jobs, and my dad Bill helped watch him, and my mom helped watch him during the day, or I had to pay for a nanny, which was stupid amounts of money, and I could barely do.
It's like breaking even.
Oh, if that. Right. I was always in the deficit trying to catch back up, but well worth it. But that was the only way I could get him to go to sleep or stop.
Exactly.
In the middle of the night, it'd be 2 a.m. He'd be screaming and crying. I'd put on Adam Sandler, and I could sleep for a couple hours.
Oh, is that...
Thank you, Adam Sandler. If you decide to listen to this, Adam,
please, Adam.
Thank you so much. You saved my life as a parent.
Yes, exactly.
It was fantastic. So yeah, I raised him a lot of help from my mom and from Bill. Bill loved Brandon so much. Actually, my mom posted a picture on Facebook of Bill and Brandon yesterday, and it just warmed my heart so much because it's just like, wow, And, he was an easy kid. I know I'm not trying to be biased, but he was great. Yeah, he had his terrible twos and, blanking fours and all that kind of stuff,
That's
right?
Truth, right?
But I could never ask for a better kid. And luckily, I guess, 6 years ago. So, 6 years ago when Brandon was, 7, that I met Kate. who my girlfriend now.
Correct, because you're not married.
I'm not.
You're
Technically
considered a
yes,
single dad.
Single dad.
Okay, so you met Kate, and I was wondering how this happened. How did you meet Kate?
Well, that's a funny story. Met at a bar / gym, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little bit irresistible, and she, had to come at me. And actually, no, that's very true. She hit on me several times,
Paul
over and
is
over
quite
again.
hittable, though. He is quite hittable.
I'm quite hittable, everyone. Just letting you, if you're watching, if you're watching the video, I am quite hittable.
Yes. Yeah.
But no,
In his mind, he's quite hittable.
that's right. Okay, let me believe this, please. Jeez, come on. I'm in quarantine mode. I'm sensitive.
This is true.
But no, we met, and and I told her from the get go, I was like, I'm not looking for a mom for my kid.
Wait, Brandon was how old? 6.
7.
6 or 7. Okay.
7.
Okay.
And I said, I want you to know I'm not looking for a mom for my kid. I don't need one.
Okay.
I don't need to find, I'm not trying to fill those shoes.
Sure.
I'm more than enough as a dad.
Of course.
To not do that. So I set that precedence first because I believe that that's a big no for people, is being like, I'm looking for a mother for my kid or a father for my kid. And it's like, that's not the way to do it.
That's the stigma.
It is.
That is the thought process that you're looking for.
And that's natural, and I get it. I get that, you're looking for someone to partner with because you need help or you need that. And I told her from the get-go, and I said, listen, I'm not looking for a mom for my kid.
Okay.
I'm looking for a partner for me, because my son will reap those
benefits.
Yes. And just as me being happy. And that's all I wanted, And we just grew from there. And there were some times at the very beginning where she had some not issues, but she was scared. She was young.
Well,
she was younger than me.
Because she's younger than you.
She's younger than me.
All right. So Kate,
she's about 5.5 years younger than me.
Oh, that's nothing. Okay. Yeah. But still.
But whenever it's,
at your age,
6 years ago.
Your stage in life it is.
Exactly.
Greg and I have 12 years apart, but our stage in life is almost the same age.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was just
I get it.
It was a little bit different. And there were some times where, she had a couple of freakouts and I was like, just please know that I'm not looking for a mother for my kid. Now, fast forward, and I couldn't ask for a better mother figure in his life.
Oh,
I mean, she is the most incredible thing that ever happened to us as a family, to Brandon and myself. It was just wonderful. And I always go back and think that, like what Bill did for me. And this is, I mean, they're the same person. And it's just so cool that I was able to find someone like that I didn't say, be the mother of my child, please.
Oh, right, exactly.
She decided to take him under, take him under her wing I couldn't ask for anything else.
Well, no. And you know what? I like I like the word that you used, a better sheet for us.
Yeah.
Us. You didn't say me. You didn't say him. You said us. And I love that because that's healthy.
Yes.
That's very healthy. And relationships are hard. I've had several. I've had failed marriages. We've talked about that.
Sure.
And I'll continue to talk about that. But you know what? It's hard on a woman. Now, I'm speaking just in general, not for Kate, but it's hard as a woman. I have dated men before that have had small children, and I took on that role. He didn't ask me to do that.
Sure.
I took that on myself, and because we're nurturers, we are caretakers. We are moms, and you're female, you're a mom. You've got that mom syndrome in you. So I can certainly see how that would create, in your words, a breakdown or a meltdown because it's tough. You know what I mean? That's
I
tough.
understood all of it, and I never was upset about it. And I knew that it was probably coming because the way that she, loved me, I was like, well, she's going to feel like she's obligated to love my son exactly just like her own. And I never asked for that. And I tried so hard to tell her that, please don't think that you have to.
Yeah.
Brandon and I will be okay if you're just my girlfriend or, my wife in the future or whatever it may be. We're okay with that.
Right.
And not only did Kate do such an amazing job but B fell in love with her.
Oh, I can only, well, of course, that's his mother figure.
Absolutely.
And you know what, Paul, it's very important. And you were like a son to me, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Kate loves you unconditionally. And she loves Brandon unconditionally. And you
100%.
love, you know what I mean? Just makes, and I always try to keep you in check. And,
you do.
know, I always try to keep you in check. But that's what unconditional love is, and,
100%.
And maybe she wanted to come in and be the mother of your child. You never know. I mean, you don't know. But anyway, I am so proud of you. He is a fabulous young man. And you guys are the best role. You guys are the best role model. I'm so proud of you. So with that said, I mean, single moms and dads can do it. I was a single mom, but I had I say that like it. I had Kennedy's dad is a fabulous man. I mean,
you've talked about that before.
A great man.
Just because you didn't work out with doesn't mean that he's not a great father, right?
No. And his wife, oh my goodness, I couldn't ask for a better role model for her.
Sure.
And so we have a very healthy modern day family divorce.
That's great.
It is, and it's worked out for her. So people out there, my listeners, I mean, you can do it. It can happen. You have raised.
It's going to be hard. I mean, it is hard. There were several times where I didn't know what to do.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, if you guys can hate me out there for it, but whenever here's a tip: if you're a single parent or if you can't get your baby to sleep, if you're a taller person, it works better. Hold them in your arms, rock them back and forth under the ceiling fan because the ceiling fan will dry out their eyes and they'll shut them. So. That's not child abuse because the fan
Protective services.
Hold on. The fan was installed by the home builder, right? And it is his room. Yes. And I was just standing in the only place that I could. And I just happened to have him looking up. Yeah. That's it.
Well, also putting me in the car seat and driving around, but you get tired after a while, and that's a risk.
It is. I'm not a good late night driver because I doze.
Yeah.
So I was like,
good.
Let's
just dry his eyes out.
Let's just dry his little eyes out.
Meg, my friend that was on last week, Meg, my best friend, she would put the vacuum cleaner on underneath the bed and just leave the vacuum cleaner.
The white noise?
Yeah.
Just
and
the noise.
that's loud now. That noise. I mean, can you imagine
no.
20 years ago? I mean,
no.
That's nasty. So yes, absolutely.
And I used to sing to him. Every night.
That would
My dad, actually, Bill and I used to sing to him.
Did Bill sing?
Well, not well.
Kind of like me.
Yeah, he was a country boy, and he was older, and but he just had that. I've taught me some of the songs that Bill and I used to sing as a kid, and they were so good. Oh. They were so much fun. There was one called "Down by the Old Mill Stream." And we used to sing it, and I taught Brandon this recently, and we sang it all day long. Because Bill and I used to get in the car and be like, Old Mill Stream. He was like, oh my gosh, why did I teach you this? It was so great. So those things I love that connection. So I would sing to him. I'd sing an old Disney song. What is that? Dream is a wish your heart makes?
I don't know songs.
Well, that's a good one.
Go to sleep, my little baby.
Is that the one?
Sleep and do not cry.
I see. What this one was? A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. And then he just passed out. Gosh. Well, it's probably because of the fan. It probably wasn't my singing.
It wasn't your singing.
Yeah, it was the fan. It was the dry eyes.
Exactly. Okay, so you met her in a bar.
I did.
A guy meets a girl in the bar. I didn't meet Greg in the bar. No.
Well, funny thing is, sorry. And I'm going to say this, but she was dating a friend of mine, kind of. Nice. I say a friend. Nice. That's right. Woo. That's right. Got to go classy.
Yeah.
So
keep
it classy. So she was dating. I say a friend, but I'm more of acquaintance.
Not a friend anymore. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. And after that night, it didn't end very well. And I met her a couple of times with him because he wasn't like a friend I hung out with. It's just at the bar. I'd be like, hey, what's up, buddy? And we'd hang out there. That's it. One of those drinking acquaintances, honestly. And then I met her, and actually I met her about 7 times before she remembered my name. And I was like, kidding me?
Yeah.
Everybody remembers my name.
She poo-pooed you.
She did, like 8 times.
Of course she did.
And then she saw me while she was... classy, here we go. Wow, I was at the gym one day on the calf raise machine, and she's dating my
friend.
This friend, in quotations, if you aren't watching the YouTube.
Air quotes, yeah.
In my air quotes, friend, she walks up and she goes, you're on my machine. And I said, well, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm on it. And so then she sat there and she's like, hi, I'm Kate. And I was like, I know. I've met you several times.
Oh, the games begin.
And she goes, oh. And she was serious. No, she's wonderfully brilliant, but those games don't come natural.
So great.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I told her, we were talking, because anyways, at the end of the night, her date left, my date left, because we met at the bar. This was the next night, I think, or a couple of days later, we went to the bar. She came with him, I came with the girl, and they ended up leaving us, and we ended up being at the bar, and I was like, hey,
what's up?
Well, we ended up talking, and they ended up getting mad, and they left because we weren't paying attention to them, obviously. And so we talked for hours, and that was it. And then a couple of days later, we were talking on Facebook and Facebook Messenger. I didn't have her number yet.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, hey, I've got a kid. She goes, I know. And I was like, and then then she professed the fact that or admitted the fact that she was a stalker.
Well, we are women.
That's true, and I didn't realize that. I mean, I realized she was a woman, but I didn't realize that she was a stalking woman, and that's fine,
We all have it, trust me.
And that's okay. So she knew everything about me, more things than I knew about myself, which was interesting. But and then we just kind of blossomed from there. Here we are.
And she just recently, my alma mater, just graduated from TCU with her master's.
With her master's.
I'm so proud of
counseling.
her.
That's right.
In counseling. So she's not working right now, though, right? Everybody's kind of off. Well, they're working. They're working.
Well, she had a Zoom call this morning with her kindergarten team, because she's been teaching kindergarten for the past 6 years.
Sure.
And one of the most incredible teachers you'll ever meet.
Well, that's perfect for you. You're like a toddler.
I am.
I'm kidding.
Well, I'm more like a first grader.
Yeah.
Because I don't usually pee on myself anymore. I can kind of control that part,
so right?
Right. So I'm about first grade. I'm potty trained.
Right.
But no, one of the most incredible teachers I've ever met in my life, and just what I've seen her do, and that's why I kind of pushed her into the whole counseling thing, just because she thought about it, and I was like, please do it.
That's great.
The way that you can get to kids and connect with them.
Takes a special person.
Oh my goodness. I mean, she was literally just born to be able to help kids and help children. And I'm so proud of her.
Oh, yeah.
And she's got a job offer kind of on the table right now, but as soon as she got the job, coronavirus came out.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, right.
It'll be there.
It will. And if not that one, she'll have just them knocking down the door to talk to her.
I do agree with, and it sucks. Oh my gosh. When something doesn't work out, it just it just hits me in the gut. And, I'm so competitive, but something better is around the corner every single time. And I tell people, this is rough. Times are rough. I'm not talking about Corona. I'm just talking about life in general.
Yeah.
I mean, this is rough, but you hang on but guess what? It may age you, but everything is going to be okay.
It will.
I can promise you. Now it's not going to be fun, but everything is going to be okay. I believe in that. So now
I do too.
And it may be, I lost my mom.
Yeah.
You lost your dad.
At that moment, you don't think nothing's going to be okay.
And if anybody told you, you'd be, boom, knock them out. So yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, like I said, we've dear friends, and we're friends, and we also work together. So we have a partnership.
And just like you said, I mean, my only family here is, of course, Kate, my son, and my mom. And I mean, I've looked up to you as a mom for a long time. I mean, there have been times where you've told me some things. I was like, man,
yeah,
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you know what? Personally and professionally. And so it's been about a month or so ago, Paul and I had a big disagreement. I mean, we had a very heated, serious disagreement.
I think the hardest thing about us is that we're both hard-headed and we both stick to our guns.
Yeah. And it was, we had to just literally, we had to just get it out, and we got it out, and I went back to an old Tiffy-ism and just started saying things that you don't mean, but you do mean, but you wish you wouldn't have said it that way. And after it all shook out, and it was sad. I mean, we had to calm down, but we're like family and we're in business together, but it was tough. But you know what? You learn about people and you love each other. And I mean, I can say I love this guy. I mean, but
Absolutely.
I mean, and I think probably what's so different about this business too is I am working with people that are like my family, and it's not a corporate big head or anything.
And
like
that can be hard too.
It's 1,000%. And so learning this business and this industry and sharing it with someone that you do care deeply about, and you're going to disagree.
Absolutely. And I promise you that you would have rather had that disagreement than me just say everything was okay and then to just sugarcoat everything.
Right.
And that's one thing about me is I don't sugarcoat anything. Everybody out there, if you ask me if the dress or the shirt looks bad on you,
He's going to say it.
if it doesn't look good on you, I'm going to tell you.
I sugarcoat everything. So I do. I mean, that's the difference. And so, just working through, we've talked about relationships and, you and Kate and you and your son and you and your mom and then you and I, and then your other colleague, your other, professional relationships. But this one is super unique. And after that, I was just like, I'm so sorry.
We both called and said we were sorry. And we just, and I think that the reason it happened is because that we're both very passionate people, extremely passionate people. And we both actually care about each other and care about the success. And it's, when it's kind of like in a relation, it is a relationship. It's a marriage. It literally is. It's just a business marriage.
It is.
Any kind of thing, but it's kind of like whenever your significant other tells you that, oh yeah, that shirt doesn't look as good. And then when a random stranger does, you're like, you take it to heart more when your significant other like, oh, but I really want you to think I'm sexy. Or I really want you to like it. It's the same kind of thing. So whenever it comes from someone so close, it can be hard, but also it can be one of the best pieces of advice because then it can really, because that person's saying it not just to say it,
right?
Because they actually care.
Right.
And we've done that. And I can't stress this enough. Right now, with everything that's going on, call the people you haven't talked to.
Oh, gosh, right?
Call the people that you've had disagreements with because honestly, what is that big of a deal?
Right.
Now, I understand there's some circumstances where things are where disagreements are horrible. But I'll tell you right now, when the world is going through this heartache,
yes,
the last thing you want on your heart is more heartache.
Oh, gosh.
Or is just underlying issues or things that are unresolved. My mom always taught me this, and I always tell Brandon this. I say, she always told me to keep my side of the street clean. No matter what. Because I'll tell you one thing that I cannot control. Anybody else.
That's true.
The only person that I can control is myself.
That's true.
And I can order my son around.
Well, that's true.
Right. I can control him for the most part for now.
For now.
But
today.
Today, until he gets bigger than me. And then still, I'm going to,
Yeah.
I'll have to do my best.
Right.
But no, keep your side of the street clean because it weighs heavy on your heart to have negativity and to have unresolved issues.
Sure.
And right now is one of the perfect times. I know it. I hate that it takes tragedy or it takes a crisis or a pandemic to get you to that, right? But do it. Don't ever be too proud to do that.
Not at all. Hey, Paul, I wanted to ask you, I want you to explain something to our listeners just real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up. But the platforms that I have on my business as an influencer is, of course, Instagram, Facebook. We have the website, blog, and podcast. Now, I've asked him this probably a million times. We also have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And tell us why, because this is audio, we listen to podcasts. Yeah. Okay. We do have a YouTube channel if you didn't know, people.
Absolutely. My So-Called Fabulous.
That's right.
That's right. Check out on YouTube. I believe that in this day and age that people want to, YouTube is a very hard grower. It's very hard to grow a YouTube channel whenever it's not something that's a viral sensation, so to speak. But when having video, it's just another way for someone to connect with you. All it takes is one person to see it and to share it, and then all of a sudden it's at 1 million views. Right. And one of the things that I tell you all the time, try not to worry about your followers. Right. Because that's where it starts to get bad in your own mind, psychologically. Oh, gosh.
Every day I wake up.
But the point of a YouTube channel is because it increases the platforms of visibility. if you're only on one platform, it's not very easy to be found.
Right.
And if you are found, you're being found on purpose.
Right.
My biggest thing that I tell every single one of my clients and everybody that's trying to do something branding wise, the entire point of branding and marketing is to be found on accident.
Right.
Because if you're found on accident, that means something's working.
That's good. That's good stuff.
That's a very good thing. So check this out on YouTube, because obviously I'm very hittable. And you guys should see that, according to Tiffany.
That's true.
In my mind.
That's true.
But no, check it out, because it adds a human element. Because not only can they hear your voice, but they can see you.
Right.
You know, it's you know, I've listened to podcasts. I'm like, man, I wonder what they look like.
Oh,
and
I'm sure people are going to want to know what you look like.
Nah.
Y'all take a peek at what Paul looks like. Yeah. It's either we have the YouTube, but on and I never. This is your job. So on podcasts, we are on
iTunes, Google Play or Google Podcasts, Spotify, and then about 20 other smaller ones. It's the kind of the trickle down effect.
Right.
As soon as the bigger companies, because iTunes is 65-70% of all podcast listens.
Right.
Then Spotify's next. Then Google's a little bit, but then you've got the other platforms that pick up podcasts from the bigger ones.
Right.
So we're everywhere.
Right.
We're everywhere. You can, podcasts are being listened to.
Well, because of this man, absolutely. Thank you, Paul. Well, I just cannot thank you enough for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
A lot of people are like, why are you doing this? And it's this guy that got me doing on the podcast to take that blog to life.
And I'm going to tell you one thing before you close this out. I'm going to say, if people are asking you why you're doing something and it feels right in your heart, now there are some things where you probably shouldn't do. But if it's right, don't get me there. Don't be like, whatever you want to do it.
Do it.
Do it. No. But if people are asking why, then that means something's working.
That's true.
You know what I mean? We've talked about that several times. And if people are asking, why now are you doing this? Because I am.
Yeah.
And that defines you. And if that makes you feel good inside, then let everybody ask why.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Paul,
Thank you so much for having me.
You have just been a wealth of information. I wish you and Kate and Brandon the very best. And, of course, your incredible growing business.
See you tomorrow.
I will see him tomorrow. And you know what? You're growing so big. And when we knock this corona, there's big plans around the corner. So, everyone, Thank you. Follow me at Tiffany C. Blackman on Instagram and Tiffany Collins and Tiffany Blackman on Facebook. And it's great to see you. Rate and review.
Go to YouTube.
Yes.
Post some comments.
Please.
We love to respond to those.
Yes.
And rate and review.
All right. Everyone stay safe out there. And thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.